Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and today your English will improve. You better believe it. Well, we're in the middle of our opinion article. Mark and Amanda are discussing whether or not they should tell their son that Santa Claus isn't real. Amanda thinks that it's about time, but Mark doesn't seem to be ready to let his son know that Santa Claus doesn't really exist. Well, we're going to continue this conversation in a lesson called The Great Santa Claus Debate. Well, friends, I know that you have your magazines, but it's time for you to open your magazines to today's lesson because we need to get started. Let's begin. The Great Santa Claus Debate.
We all love the fun of Santa during the holidays.
Yes, but we should love honesty too. That's why we need to talk about how we should tell Timothy Santa isn't real.
There's Sarah to consider too. What if Timothy spoils Santa for her?
That's a problem. She is only 4 after all.
Yes, she should be able to enjoy Santa for a few more years.
Yes, but I think it's time to be honest with Timothy.
I suppose.
And another thing, he may find out the truth from someone else. If we keep lying about Santa, he may wonder what else we've been lying about.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们今天要看的第一个字是 honesty。Honesty 就是诚实的意思。譬如说 ，Honesty is important, but so is love. 诚实很重要，但爱也很重要。或是 After all that Kevin has done for you, you still doubt his honesty? Kevin 为你做了这么多事，你还怀疑他对你是否忠诚？Honesty 也有带着诚恳或是诚意的意思。譬如说 I've read your essay, and in all honesty, I think you should rewrite it. 你的作文我已经看过了，老实说，我认为你应该重写。接下来要看的字是动词 consider. To consider 在文章里的意思是考虑到。譬如说 I can't believe the mayor made the decision without considering the facts. 我不敢相信市长竟然没有考虑到事实就做出那个决定。To consider 也有认为的意思。譬如说 Lisa has always considered Marcus to be the perfect gentleman. Lisa 一直都认为 Marcus 是一位标准的绅士。我们也可以用 to consider 来指仔细想想或是认真考虑。譬如说 Nina considered working overseas, but then her mother became ill and needed someone to take care of her. Nina 认真考虑要到海外工作，但后来她母亲生病，需要人照顾。
Well, thank you very much, Jack. Friends, if you are just joining us, we are on pages 44 and 45 of your magazine as we get into the second part of this conversation between Mark and Amanda. My name is Gabe.
Well, let's get right into our lesson. Mark says we all love the fun of Santa during the holidays. Gabe, when you were a kid, did your parents tell you that Santa gave you your presents?
You know, I forget, honestly, because from as young as I can remember, I didn't believe in Santa. I know that sometimes my dad dressed up like Santa Claus, just for fun.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, he would hand out the presents on Christmas morning. but I don't remember believing in Santa Claus, like the real Santa Claus or the fictitious Santa Claus. What about you, Rebecca?
Well, I remember one year my parents, they tried to say that, oh, our presents came from Santa. Like they actually wrote on the presents from Santa, but I always knew it was from my parents. I was like, Mom, Dad, you can't trick me.
You knew, right?
I did.
Just deep down, you had a sense, right? Well, you know, it's different for every kid, and every set of parents has a different decision to make, right? Some decide to share with their kids the truth about Santa Claus early on, others at a later time in life. You know, so Amanda, she says here we should love honesty too. That's why we need to talk about how we should tell Timothy Santa isn't real.
And Mark says, there's Sarah to consider too. What if Timothy spoils Santa for her? Now, before we continue, we would like to take a look at this word to spoil. If you spoil something for someone, you ruin this thing for someone else.
That's right. Often it involves a surprise of some sort, a kind of information that they didn't know before, and you don't want them to know because it will spoil, you know, their atmosphere or the way they feel about something. It will ruin that. So it's a little different from the way we use the word spoil when we talk about spoiling a child. In Chinese, that is 宠坏. That's not the way it's used in our lesson, right? You can spoil a surprise for somebody. Maybe you tell somebody the ending of a movie or book, and it's really important information. That's spoiling the ending.
That's right, and I hate when people do that. Don't tell me the ending. Don't spoil the story for me, because once someone tells me the ending of a story, it really does ruin it. I don't want to finish reading the book or perhaps even watching the movie.
Right, and we have to be careful about that. Our writers at Studio Classroom have to be careful about that with our book or with our novel articles, right? To make sure that we're not giving away important details at the end of the summary. We don't want to spoil it for our readers.
That's right. Okay, so we saw this question Mark had asked, what if Timothy spoils Santa for her? And Amanda says, that's a problem. She is only 4 after all. This I thought was really, really funny because Amanda sees it being a problem if her son Timothy spoils Santa for Sarah, but they need to tell Timothy about Santa when he's only 7.
Right. So she's okay with Timothy knowing the truth, but not with their daughter Sarah knowing the truth because maybe 4 is too young. What do you think about that, friends? Is there an age that's too young to know the truth about Santa? Maybe not. You can talk about that in Chinese or English. But I say we talk about this phrase, after all, because it appears a couple of times in our lesson.
She's only 4 after all. Now, you can use this when you want to make a point about what was just said and explain why it's valid or why it's a point, a good point.
That's right. So in Chinese, you might say 毕竟, so after all, right? But I shouldn't use Chinese here too often. After all, we are an English teaching program. Now, you might want to notice the emphasis on the word is or are in those sentences. We often emphasize those words. So in our lesson, she is only 4 after all. We are an English teaching program after all.
That's right. Great example. Well, Mark says, yes, she should be able to enjoy Santa for a few more years. Now, Gabe, when you think of Santa, what kind of picture comes to your mind?
Well, a fat, jolly old man with a big white beard, and he dressed in really red clothes.
You mean like this?
Like this guy. Exactly. So that's Santa Claus. Sometimes we call him Saint Nick or Old Saint Nick. There are many different things that come to mind when people think of Santa Claus. But we're learning here about what Amanda and Mark think about Santa Claus. She thinks it's time to be honest with Timothy.
And of course, Amanda's concerned that if they are not honest with Timothy now, perhaps he'll find out the truth from someone else, and then won't believe his parents about other things.
That's right. That's actually a very important concern. Well, right now it's time for us to learn something new in the
Info Cloud.
Welcome back to InfoCloud, friends. Anne-Marie, do you like Christmas movies?
It depends.
I find some Christmas movies to be pretty cheesy, but there are two I really like, White Christmas and Elf. Why do you ask?
I was watching a Christmas movie with my family the other night, and a phrase was said that I had never heard before. Lit up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that phrase. It's usually said when someone gets really excited and happy when something pleasant happens.
Christmas trees are full of lights. How does that apply to people?
I'll give you an example. When Chloe saw her new puppy for the first time, she lit up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, I see. Hey, let me try. When James's parents praised his hard work in school, he lit up like a Christmas tree.
You got it. Now, I have to warn our students that this phrase does have another meaning. If someone is lit up like a Christmas tree, it can also mean that they are drunk.
Oh, that's a totally different meaning. The difference here is that the verb is or was is placed before this phrase.
That's right. But if the word lit is the verb, then lit up like a Christmas tree means to be excited.
今天要跟大家分享的这个流行用语非常有趣，那就是 lit up like a Christmas tree。字面上的意思是像圣诞树一样被点亮了。通常圣诞树上都会有一些灯饰和闪闪发亮的装饰品，只要插上电，整棵圣诞树就会变得闪耀动人。Lit up like a Christmas tree 是用来形容一个人变得相当开心和兴奋，整个人都亮起来了。Chloe lit up like a Christmas tree when she saw the puppy. Chloe 看到小狗狗的时候，感到相当开心。不过要注意的是 ，lit up like a Christmas tree 前面加上一个 is 就有完全不同的意思，代表那个人喝醉了。例如 ，He is lit up like a Christmas tree。这就是今天的 Info Cloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Studio Classroom. Well, Mark and Amanda are in the middle of a discussion. They are discussing whether or not they should tell their son Timothy that Santa doesn't exist. Of course, Amanda thinks that it's time he needs to know the truth. But Mark doesn't feel ready or doesn't think that it's the right time to tell Timothy. Well, friends, let's continue this conversation now. The Great Santa Claus Debate.
I see what you mean. We don't want him to think that Jesus isn't real. After all, Jesus is the real reason we celebrate Christmas.
Exactly. Christmas should be more about the birth of Jesus than Santa Claus.
Timothy does love the story of Christmas, Jesus' birth, the angels and shepherds and everything.
So I think it's time to let Timothy in on the Santa secret. Then he can have fun continuing the Santa story for Sarah.
Maybe. I don't want to ruin the magic of Santa, but Timothy might enjoy playing along for his little sister.
“我们再来看下一个字 ，angel。angel 就是天使的意思。例如 ，Trisha dressed up as an angel for Halloween。Trisha 在万圣节把自己打扮成一个天使。不过 angel 也可以用来指一位善心人士或是大好人。譬如说 ，Thank you so much for helping me. You're such an angel。谢谢你帮我这个忙，你真是一个大好人。或是 Bethany is such an angel. She is always working with charities. Bethany 是一位善心人士，她常常跟慈善机构一起合作。最后，我们要看一下这一句的惯用语 ：let someone in on something。To let someone in 就是让某人进来的意思，但是在文章里 ，to let someone in on something 是让某人知道一个秘密。譬如说 ，After some careful thinking。Chris has decided to let his sister in on his secret plan. Chris 仔细想过后，决定让他妹妹知道他的秘密计划。或是 I was surprised that Vinny knew about the meeting. Who let him in on this? 我很惊讶 Vinny 竟然知道我们的会议，是谁跟他讲这件事的？ To let someone in on something 也有准许某人参与一件事的意思。譬如说Sammy had wanted to join his brother's club, but they've refused to let him in on their activities. Sammy 很想加入他哥哥的社团，但是他们就是不让他参加他们的活动。All right, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack. Now, earlier Amanda mentioned that she was a little bit concerned that if they don't tell Timothy the truth now, then he might think that they were lying about other things.
And what other important things might he think they were lying about? Mark says, I see what you mean. We don't want him to think Jesus isn't real. After all, Jesus is the real reason we celebrate Christmas. As some people say, Jesus is the reason for the season.
And Amanda says, exactly. Christmas should be more about the birth of Jesus than Santa Claus.
So Timothy does love the story of Christmas, Mark says. Jesus' birth, the angels and shepherds and everything.
That's right, and we would like to take a look at this phrase, and everything. Usually you find this at the end of a sentence when you want to incorporate other things but not necessarily mention all those other similar things.
Right, it's kind of like the phrase and so on or etc. Or we might even say and all. The birth of Jesus, the angels, the shepherds, and all, and so on. But let's go to the very end of our lesson here. Mark's last line, he says an interesting phrase. Timothy might enjoy playing along for his little sister. What is it to be playing along with something?
What does it mean to play along? It just means that you cooperate or you do what others are doing.
Right, so you might have to play along if you want to pretend that Santa exists, and you play along just so that somebody else believes it. I remember pulling a prank on someone in high school, and someone in authority at the high school played along with this joke, and we convinced this person to believe something was real, and it wasn't. It was actually kind of harmful for that person. So be careful what you agree to play along with, friends. But right now it's time for us to see how the phrase to let someone in is used in
a skit.
Hey, Tim. What's going on? Tell me.
What do you mean?
Oh, I see people whispering about something, but I don't know what. Let me in on it. What's happening?
It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Come on. You're up to something. What's the big secret? I want to know. Let me in on what's happening.
Sorry, I don't want to talk about it.
I saw you talking to Barbara and Jeff. Are they in on it?
Well...
Is everyone in on it? Tell me.
Sorry, I can't tell you. It's a secret.
A secret? And everyone else in the office is in on it?
Well, yes, but I can't tell you.
Come on, tell me. I want to know.
Oh, okay. We're planning a surprise party.
How fun! I love surprise parties. So, let me in on it. Who's the party for?
You!
Me?
Yeah.
Why did you tell me? Now it's not a surprise. Oh!
Beginning to end, the Santa Claus story is full of magic. reindeer on the roof, presents under the tree, and of course a jolly gentleman who seems to eat only milk and cookies. Parents in America share these traditions with their children and encourage them to believe in Santa. As kids grow up, they outgrow Santa. So when is a good time to tell them the truth? Mark and Amanda have 2 children. Their daughter Sarah is 4 years old, and their son Timothy is 7. It's December, and Timothy keeps asking his parents if Santa is real.
I don't think Timothy is ready to hear that Santa isn't real. He loves all of our different Christmas traditions, especially the Santa stuff.
Of course he does. It's magical for him. But now he's asking questions.
So, he's only 7. He's too young to learn that stories about Santa are just fiction. I don't want to upset him right before Christmas.
I don't think Timothy is the one who isn't ready, Mark.
What do you mean?
I think you're the one who isn't ready.
We all love the fun of Santa during the holidays.
Yes, but we should love honesty too. That's why we need to talk about how we should tell Timothy Santa isn't real.
There's Sarah to consider too. What if Timothy spoils Santa for her?
That's a problem. She is only 4 after all.
Yes, she should be able to enjoy Santa for a few more years.
Yes, but I think it's time to be honest with Timothy.
I suppose.
And another thing, he may find out the truth from someone else. If we keep lying about Santa, he may wonder what else we've been lying about.
I see what you mean. We don't want him to think that Jesus isn't real. After all, Jesus is the real reason we celebrate Christmas.
Exactly. Christmas should be more about the birth of Jesus than Santa Claus.
Timothy does love the story of Christmas, Jesus' birth, the angels and shepherds and everything.
So I think it's time to let Timothy in on the Santa secret. Then he can have fun continuing the Santa story for Sarah.
Maybe. I don't want to ruin the magic of Santa, but Timothy might enjoy playing along for his little sister.
There are a lot of different ways that people celebrate Christmas, a lot of different traditions, and of course, one of those traditions is talking about Santa Claus. But I really like in our lesson when Mark and Amanda bring up the true reason of Christmas, and that is the birth of Jesus Christ, and that's a great reminder for all of us. Well, friends, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.